Welcome to the Making of YOR, a podcast where we turn ideas into game mechanics for our upcoming tabletop RPG, YOR. If you'd like to stay up to date on the developments of YOR, head over to our Discord. Link is in the description. All right, on to episode 8.
Woo!
I think we have to talk about spells for a few minutes because we told everyone in
we were gonna
7 we would, and whatever. We should be true to our word like a bunch of losers. All right, spells.
So
we're doing targeted, target and adjacent, and multi-target. I believe those were the general types we wanted to start with.
Yeah, broadly.
And then...
Yeah. Ray, fireball, lightning bolt.
Yeah, basically. Or chain lightning.
Yeah, chain lightning.
So if we do that, and I think maybe we come up then with things that would thematically fit with one of those types.
Yeah.
So I mean, just get the simple ones out of the way. Fireball.
Yeah. Seminal classic. Can't live without it.
Might as well do fireball first. So it'll be target and all adjacent.
Yep.
What tier do we think that should become active in? Normally fireball and it comes on 5, so do we want it at tier 2?
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like it's a tier 2 spell because tier 1 everybody just has cantrips and stuff.
Yeah. So there's a variation of it because all of our stuff we plan on it growing as you tier and can get stronger. So fireball will be a tier 2 spell that is target and adjacent.
Yeah.
Do we have a rough idea of what kind of damage we want to put on that?
No, but I wanted to use D8s.
Yes. Spells are D8s in general. That's the plan.
48 seems crazy good. 3D8 maybe? Max of 24?
Well, let's see. Some of it will have to do with, I think, how we handle resistances.
Yeah.
And what kind of resistances to magical or non-piercing, bludgeoning, slashing, whatever that looks like. But 3D8, target and adjacent. We might be better. I think we might be better going the route with a little less die with a flat number.
Yeah.
We might be better with a 2D8 plus 3.
That would make it less, it'd
make it a little more static.
Yeah.
It would have slightly lower average damage than 3D8. But it would
0.5 less damage.
But it would reduce, or 1.5, right? Because it's 4.5 is half.
Plus 4.
So something like a 2D8 plus 3, but it also means that your max is now only 19.
Yeah.
Which might be a little better, because I think at 24 on tier 2, that's probably going to one shot potentially a lot of stuff is going to, and not that I don't want magic to be powerful because a tier 2, a lot of what we're doing in spells should hopefully limit something like a fireball from being cast on the first turn. And we do want, fireball does in many cases one shot stuff.
Yeah.
But I think it might one-shot too many things.
Yeah. Well, also our fireball is significantly smaller because it's max a 15-foot ball instead of a...
Yeah, instead of a...
I think we're probably still keeping the non-Euclidean geometry that means squares and circles are the same.
Yeah, of course. We might end up... a lot of the spells... We may need to double back on damage numbers, actually, now that I think about it. Because what we might want to do is go ahead and craft all of our ideas for spells first.
Yeah.
And just from a theme standpoint.
Yeah.
And then we might have to dial in on HP numbers first.
Okay, yeah. Just to figure out exactly how much they need to do.
Yeah.
So, we'll just put down D8s plus static number.
Yeah.
For damage.
Yeah. Are we calling cantrips tier 0 or tier 1 spells?
I think they're tier 1s.
I think that's how we currently have it.
I don't think there are any tier 0 spells.
No. All right, so then that's fireball. Target and all adjacent fire damage, D8. I have just a D8, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
D8 plus static damage.
Perfect. Chain lightning is basically the same thing, except it's 3 individual targets.
Yes. Agreed. I've been doubling back and thinking about this idea of if we go down the theme of doing a certain thing has a certain die. Are we going to be limiting ourselves too much? But I think we should build that way.
Yeah.
Weapons are D6s, spells are D8s, and we should just build that way.
Buffs, debuffs are D4s.
And if we run into a point where we're like, this isn't working, then we'll change it then.
Because we've been consistent and it's easy to change.
Yeah. We can figure it out if we're like, this is going to be a problem. We're not going to be able to like balance this the right way. But to be honest, I think it's fine to use D8s because we can efficiently balance it by just being like, all right, we're going to change the static number.
Yeah.
If we need to, we'll drop a D8 and put +1 or +2 static damage. And so we can fiddle the numbers regardless of the die you're using.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Chain Lightning as the companion spell, if you will.
Yeah.
The Fireball. And it will be 3 targets.
Yeah.
D8. 3 targets, lightning damage, D8 plus static.
Yeah.
Plus a lot of static.
Heaps of static damage.
Fireball, Chain Lightning. What else?
Honestly, I kind of want like a laser beam spell, because I've always been of the opinion that there is zero difference between an illusory laser and a real laser.
Okay. So would it be something like Disintegrate?
Yeah, kinda. Just probably fire damage, single target, 2d8 plus static, or more d8s plus static.
Yeah, because it's single target.
Yeah.
And what do you want? Just call it laser?
Yeah, we just wanted to call it laser beam. That's
laser
fine.
Beam. All right, I'll put down laser beam, and we'll see if we.
Well, because like laser is just light that has been made coherent by some means.
Sure.
If you go by the name radiation, but I think if you can make light with an illusion spell, you can just make coherent light with that illusion spell, which is zero different than real light made by an illusion spell.
Yeah. So, if then...
And that gives us a combat illusion spell that isn't, oh, you can make your illusions real.
Yes, I like that. Laser beam's an illusion spell that just does damage.
Yeah.
Does it do fire damage or does it do radiant damage?
Ooh, so it is just like dumping energy into it. It is radiation, I guess. It is light.
Then let's do radiant damage.
Yeah, cool. Radiant damage. Laser beam. Radiant damage. Perfect.
Okay, what after laser beam?
We need some kind of like fog cloud spell.
Yep. So something that's going to obscure, I guess it would work. So something like that, we could make it target and adjacent, or it can, at tier 2 casting of it, it fills a small room.
Oh, yeah.
So if we have it in room categories, it would relate to that room.
Yeah, you can cast it either on one person and all adjacent, or
fill a small room.
Yeah, so if you want to cast it on yourself because you can see through it, you make a little like darkness.
Yeah.
But if you want to fill a small room with it, then you can also do that.
Yes, and it won't be as big as stuff like darkness would be.
Yeah.
In like D&D, but it's actually going to be stronger in some ways because it's going to move with you.
Yeah.
The question would be then, I think, well, it's normally a concentration spell anyway.
Yeah.
So it'll be something that has a required maintenance.
Yeah.
To keep it up, which also could be broken in some way. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll come up with something to balance it, but I think we need like a concealer spell.
Yeah, we haven't talked about, I don't think, concentration really at all.
No, well, we've sort of talked about it a bit, but mostly it was like either it lasts for a round or it lasts for the combat.
Yeah, and what our essence of concentration was, you have to use maintenance.
Yeah.
To keep it up.
Yeah, you have to maintain a spell.
So if you
don't have to roll anything, you just have to spend actions on this.
Yeah, which might be all we do. We may not address an idea of damage or something like that. But I don't know. We'll check in with that later.
Yeah.
It'll be an issue if in gameplay we see that a lack of being able to break spells is like a balance
It's
problem.
like, oh, these are way too good.
Yeah. So do we want this to be, do we want a fog cloud or are we going to go straight to darkness?
Do
we want the variations?
I don't know. We just call it concealment or something like that. Make me hard to see ball.
Make me hard to see ball. Okay. I'm just going to put mist.
Mist. Perfect.
For now, even though that implies water, but so does fog, I guess, technically.
Yeah. I actually think technically the difference is the particulate matter size in the floating water.
Yeah. Mist is bigger than fog.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. I'm just going to put darkness for now.
Cool.
And we'll figure it out. I know the variation might be.
Oh, well, now it could be darkness is target and all adjacent. Mist is fill small room.
Well, I would think you'd want one spell that would just adapt to one or the other. Like, because, so we had talked about some of the reasons that we had to do target adjacent and all that was because if you're in too big a space, you have without a board in Theater of the Mind, you have no relative scale. But if you have a room, even in Theater of the Mind, you have location.
Yeah.
So you can either cast it on a person, or if it is a small room, you can cast it on the room.
Yeah.
And then an upcasted variation could do a bigger room. And I think that I don't know that we need both, except for they would be two different schools of magic, probably.
Yeah, and level progression. Because, like, darkness, if we pick it as its own spell, we could go like the Twilight Cleric in 3-5, where, like, it's not that you get harder to see, it's that, like, you get cover and other people, like, can't see through it, but your allies can, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, like, if at tier 2, your allies could see through the spell instead of just you.
Mm-hmm.
Or at tier 2, you can see through the spell, and at tier 3, your allies can see through it.
Yeah. Then what would we functionally... And so that would be darkness would only cast on yourself.
Yeah. Or an object.
Well, yeah, I guess we could do it either way. It depends on... If we make baked into a spell like darkness, if we have baked into it the ability to see through it, because that's what makes darkness really strong.
Yeah.
Is figuring out methods to see through it.
Yeah.
So if we just bake it into the spell, then we might have to have we might want to place a limitation that it's like cast on self. Only because it's a whole lot stronger if you can see through it.
Yeah.
And then you can make all your allies see through it.
Yeah, but you're also using a tier 2 or 3 spell with it.
Yeah.
And like
I guess
tier 3 spell, that would be like, oh, I can cast darkness that my allies can automatically see through, or I could cast Earthquake.
Well, sure, we won't have Earthquake as a free cast spell, though. That'll be more magic.
100%, yeah.
That one.
But it'd be like the same level of magic.
Yeah, it'd be a higher tier.
And then like Fog Cloud could be like fill small room. If not in a small room, it dissipates in 1 round.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Tier 2, fill medium room. If not in a medium room, dissipates in 1 round.
So I like that. I actually do like that direction, but I still think then darkness needs to have specific targets.
Yeah. Like I think like person or object.
Maybe not even object. And the only reason I say this is because then you can specifically look at Fog Cloud and say, well, darkness has this thing baked in that lets you do stuff with your allies that's really cool.
Yeah.
But Fog Cloud has tactical uses that darkness can't have.
Okay.
Like, because if you can cast on an object, then you cast it on that object and you have that in a room behind.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to have cover between you and an enemy, you could just get the same effect out of darkness. But if this is like defines a different tactical advantage from using Fog Cloud instead of darkness, I think we want at least that much difference between them.
Okay. Yeah, it's I'm just thinking like at tier 1, darkness is used to like cast on other people because you can't see through it automatically.
Mm-hmm.
At tier 2, it becomes, all right, this is like a self buff.
Yeah.
And at tier 3, it's an allied buff, but it still does those other 2 things.
Yeah. No, I'm with that. I think let's just limit it to you can cast it on a person.
Okay.
You cast it on a person. Let's just start there, and then we'll figure out functionality on it. I'll put cast on a living person.
Yeah. Living creature.
Yes, living creature. Living creature of at least small size.
Yeah.
As you cast it.
We'll start there and see if we need any of that.
We may not. But
I don't think that it's going to be a problem to cast it on objects and stuff, just like darkness in 5e is.
Sure.
But we'll see.
Well, like I say, I don't think it. I know in some ways, like I say, we're just making it stronger by baking in a see through it.
Yeah. Well, but we're not like baking it in automatically.
No, we're not.
5e has a really easy opportunity cost now because you can just pick up darkness as a spell from wherever and take 1 feat to get Devil's Eyes.
Yeah.
And you're good to go.
Yeah.
It's not a heavy investment.
It's not. It
is a good tactic, but as long as we make it sure it's not the only tactic, I think we're fine.
Well, yeah. And to be honest, it just being target in adjacent squares.
Yeah. It's smaller than darkness already.
A lot smaller. So in that in itself, probably.
Yeah.
I'll just delete the other stuff.
Cool.
That size makes it where like the chance of missing, really anything that you have that's AoE is going to ignore that.
Yeah. Boss, we can't see him. What do we do? I don't know. Throw a grenade at him.
Yeah. Where's our wizard? Cast a fireball.
You don't need
in
something
there.
with his name on it. Send him a to whom it may concern.
Yeah. Yeah. Ranged attacks fired into it probably just have a 50-50 miss chance or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And miss chance is really easy because you're just, all right, over 50 hit.
Yeah.
Under 50 miss.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll have to work out that one. That's going to require a little more work because we are going to have to work out the effect of the different types of attacks and interactions.
An enemy you can't see.
Yeah. We'll have to play with that a little bit on this because right now we have a cover system. Well, it works pretty well, and it's just DR.
Yeah.
And so if we're not going to use a DR system for this, we'll have to figure out how we calculate a miss chance in a no roll to hit scenario.
Yeah.
What would be appropriate?
It could just be double your DR while concealed.
Yeah, maybe.
That'd be real simple.
It would be. We'll see how strong that is.
Yeah. Because that feels pretty truthy because if you're naked and concealed, you're still pretty easy to hit as long as they know what square you're in. But if you're like heavily armored and concealed, they're basically just shooting blind into a wall.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So if you don't have much DR,
it's not as good for you.
Yeah.
But if you're really DR'd up, it's great for you because then not only do they have to hit you someplace that isn't armored.
Yeah. No, that's true. That is pretty good. It will cause it to be more of a teamwork spell.
Yeah. Which was what we want anyway.
Yeah. Because casting it on the wizard.
Yeah. So it only becomes really good at tier 3 whenever your allies can see through it.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's being used as tactical control to like wall off people with ranged attacks.
Ooh, that feels really good now that we talked this out.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. I was thinking of like, there's some interactions here that I don't know what we're going to do with, but that I think handles it.
Yeah.
You really like this spell?
Yeah.
Because that sounded a lot like you were enjoying this spell.
I sure do.
Maybe a little too much.
It's just so elegant.
All right, so I got darkness. Cast on creature or object. Creatures concealed by darkness double their DR.
Yeah.
And so if you have something that lets you see through it, then that creature is no longer concealed. They may be in it,
but they're not concealed.
They're not concealed from you because you can subvert it.
Man, I really like this. That feels really good.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to have a fog cloud as well, or mist, or just fog.
Yeah.
So what do we want to do with fog? It's fills a small room.
Yeah. If
lasts till end of combat.
Yeah.
No concentration, maybe?
I'd go fills small room, lasts until end of combat. If not in a small room, lasts until end of turn or end of round.
Yeah. Or lasts until the start of your next turn.
Round. Yeah.
Okay. So Darkness is going to probably have maintenance per round. Do we want fog to also have maintenance per round?
No. I think you make a bunch of fog, and if you're not in a small room, it just dissipates to the point where it's useless.
Man, I really like both of those.
Right?
Yeah.
Some good shit.
Fog. Fog that fills a small room lasts until end of combat. If not cast in a small room, dissipates at the start of your next turn. I think that what we ended up with between those two is different enough, and between maintenance cost versus
effects,
no maintenance
uses.
cost and effects, well, I think we're good there. And I'm not even going to write upcasting rules on them. I think they are self-explanatory. We know what we'll be able to do with them, and we'll add that.
And
later.
We have what we talked about on audio.
Yeah, we have what we talked about on audio. But I think this is all figuring out the baseline on all of these is the hard part. Yeah. It's when we get onto the stuff that has statuses that grow turn
buffs
over
and
turn.
Debuffs, stuff like that.
Yeah, that's where we'll have to get a little.
But that'll be mostly for like clerics and stuff.
Yeah, we may, I don't know, hold person may not really be a wizard spell or whatever we call it. Because it's really like our hold person is actually petrify.
Yeah.
But it's, or flesh to stone. Yeah. But we'll probably call it petrify.
Medusify.
Yeah. Yeah, I think of Knights of the Old Republic.
Yeah.
Their spell trees.
Yeah.
I loved the way that they looked and interacted. And certain ones I think you had to have, and maybe it was in the second game, but you had to have prerequisites from 2 different lines, I think, to get certain spells. But I loved like you would learn like grip.
Yeah.
I think. And then choke and then kill.
Yeah, spell prerequisites, kind of like you had feat chains.
Yeah.
You had spell chains.
Yeah, you had spell chains to get learn. And I think ours are just probably going to like tier up if you have the spell. Unless we
may add some crazy shit later, but we'll probably just have straight line spells like we have straight line classes now.
Yeah, or we will we'll have you choose.
Yeah.
Maybe when you get to tier 3, like your spell evolves, if you will.
Yeah. You make it your own.
Yeah, and you get to pick.
Oh man, we definitely need a signature spell rule. Like you get to pick one spell when you get to tier 3 that you get to modify in some way.
Ooh,
and
that is
like
cool.
Your spell.
Yeah. Where you
used this so much you made your own.
Yeah, so you get to have some list of effects that you can apply. You get to pick one spell to be your...
Yeah, it just permanently changes to what's its burning laser beam.
Yeah. Ooh, that's really cool. So, okay, so we have tier 1 spells, we have tier 2 spells, and tier 3. So it'd be the next tier is when you could make one signature, and then probably another alteration at tier 4 that you could place on that spell. Yeah. We'll figure that out.
Come up with something.
We got a lot of options to work through on what do we want.
Yeah, we got a lot of time between now and tier 4.
Oh yeah. All right. So fireball, chain lightning, laser beam, darkness, fog.
Yeah.
Do we want to? So we need to put in something that's going to restrain or slow down or hinder a person. So 2 that come to mind immediately, and we talked about the idea of progression for spells. I think initially we talked about them having tiers that they would progress through, and you'd have to be a higher tier to progress it.
Yeah.
But I don't know that it has to be that way. We could have spells that at the tier that they're at, they progress. Yeah. So you could have something that's like maybe slow, slow spell, but instead mix it thematically with something like contagion.
Yeah.
Which jumps. So we could have something that's like
zombies in Baldur's Gate 3.
Well, what I was thinking is like a contagion. Yeah, sort of the crippling death thing. But I was thinking one that's like you could cast something that limits movement on one person.
Yeah.
And then on the next turn, if there's anyone, whatever, adjacent to that person, then they fall under the effect of it.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a good idea. I like proliferation, and because we talked about that as an upgrading aspect. Yeah. And I don't know if I'm just looking at something like we could do, I guess, just AoE slow right out the bat. and then have one that is restrain a person more fully if you want to target one person, or if you want to target a group, it just hinders them but isn't going to restrain them. And maybe we make those two different spells.
I don't know, because you talked about like the intensification versus proliferation option.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe some of them branch like the classes do after the first one.
Oh, so tier 2, you just get
have someone's movement speed.
Yeah, have one person's movement speed, and then at tier 3 that can either have a whole bunch of people's movement speed, like 3 or 5 targets.
Speed. Yeah.
Yeah. That might be a little weak, I think, right now, unless we make it a lot more. Like it's if it's one person, well, I don't know. If you have the right kind of teamwork and you have one big boss, that can become an incredibly strong spell.
He can't move. Great.
Yeah. Depending on the enemy you're facing, it seems like a weak spell, but if you can if you have it going on a single target, it's really strong.
Yeah, well, there's a huge difference between half move speed and 0 move speed.
Yeah, half move speed is a pretty good reduction for kiting.
Yeah.
But I was thinking, well, maybe it should be a little better. Like you can only move one square. But I was like, actually, I mean,
if he doesn't have the power to move himself around.
Yeah. Okay. Let's just we'll call it slow.
Yeah.
And I don't know that we're going to end up doing the progressive thing.
Yeah.
Round over round to petrification type thing.
Yeah.
Maybe,
well, I think that's probably a different spell.
I think it's going to have to be a different spell.
Because I think of that one as like more of a like turn to stone thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like petrifying some guy, it kills him at the end. This one's more like slowing them down in time.
Yeah. So I think, we'll have spells that you can select from now that will grow in power.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think we can just introduce new spells at higher tiers. And that's probably a better idea.
Yeah.
So we can have spells like this, and that you're going to get to develop them as you level.
Yeah.
So you get to either you'll get to make one a signature and make all sorts of changes, or they'll have 2 options.
Yeah. Like Disintegrate doesn't have a second tier option. It's just tier 3 and 4.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I think that might be a better way to do it than purely growth. And we get to come up with more spells that way.
Yeah.
Which is fun. And we want slow to have maintenance, right?
Yeah.
Next one.
All right. So we've got battlefield control. We've got damage. We need some utility.
So are you thinking out of combat stuff, or do you want utility combat?
Like force valet.
Oh, you mean to like move someone?
Yeah, like unseen servant kind of thing.
Oh, okay. Oh, so out of combat.
Well, I mean, not necessarily. Like if you wanted to summon him in combat and have him hold something for you. Like summon him for a spear caddy.
I'm a javelin wizard.
Yeah. Like I don't hold my own stuff.
Okay.
But certainly not like a combat spell.
Yeah.
Well, that'd be a good necromancy spell. Ghost caddy.
Oh, well, yeah. And I was even thinking, well, it would, I mean, I guess it would probably be conjuration, wouldn't it?
Yeah, probably.
But you're, because it's not really going to be a servant of any particular like elemental type.
Yeah, no, it's just kinetic force.
Yeah, it's just force that can move weight up to a certain limit, whatever it is we call that limit. Okay, so force servant, summon a force entity that we're going to move up to a certain weight, and then I think can articulate basic controls.
Yeah.
So maybe we could bake Mage Hand and Unseen Servant into kind of one thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the cantrip will be basically like minor telekinesis.
Yeah, I think so. Like it won't. I don't think the cantrip will stick around. Like Mage Hand, you just cast and then you concentrate on.
No, the cantrip will be like, all right, as long as I'm focusing on it, I can float this pen around the table.
Yeah,
but if I look away from it, I'm not going to be able to do anything with it.
Yeah, I think it's something that basically you're interacting with this thing consistently,
using your mind powers, not a spell.
Yeah. Yeah, Force Servant won't have... He's just not going to have really combat application
Yeah, he's not going to be able to exert enough force to hurt someone.
Yes. So
he's not coordinated enough.
No, it'll just cost a spell slot and it will last till the end of the day.
Okay. Yeah.
That's all it's going to do.
1 day cast.
Yeah, and so you
need a butler.
You could have multiple.
Yeah.
You just can't really build an army out of it.
Yeah.
Because
it costs
a spell slot and it ends at the end of the day. Or we don't have spell slots, so it will cost something. We might have for these things out of combat spells. We might work on them having like material cost.
A focus.
Well, not just a focus, but a material cost.
Well, I mean, probably a non-consumable material cost is what I'm thinking. Is if you need one of those, you got to cast it on like a ruby worth 50 gold or something.
Oh, we could do it that way. Yeah, we could do it that way.
Like anything that lasts all day needs a focus to it.
Yeah, that might be the best way to handle it. I was thinking, if you have spells that are being cast out of combat, you don't have resource.
Yeah.
No
mana.
Yeah, you have no mana being built, which is how you cast these spells that exert a lot of power.
Yeah.
And so out of combat spells need some other thing that is either being drawn on, which could be that, not an unconsumed object, but you have to have the object to cast it.
Yeah. We could just add in like some magic item, focus stone.
Yeah.
It's got X GP value and we just queue them all to that. And
yeah, but you can only have one at a time if you only have one of the stones or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might be. Yeah, I don't want to make it something that's annoying or something you don't want to cast. Yeah.
Good brainstorming.
I think what you're talking about is easy. Maybe too easy, but definitely easy. Better than making something that like, well, I don't want to cast my Force Servant because it's going to cost.
Yeah.
I'm going to lose too much. Yeah. I like what you're thinking. Okay. Force Servant. Summon a force entity that can move up to 15 pounds and can manipulate basic controls.
Perfect.
And then we'll put something of requires a gemstone focus worth something X.
Yeah. A utility. What about like a move earth thing? To make difficult terrain and dig holes. Like a quicksand spell, maybe.
Yeah, we'll want something to move earth. Obviously, I think most of what we've built right now, not all of them, but a lot of what we built right now feels pretty wizard sorcerer.
Yeah.
We haven't really touched on what would be mystic type spells. And so maybe some of them will I'm not saying move earth shouldn't be under wizard sorcerer. That one may be kind of for everybody.
Yeah.
But we will want to, I think, reserve certain things that are thematically.
Yeah, we could just move that to the druid list. He needs stuff too.
Yeah. I think it's going to be, in some ways, I think going to be harder for us to make mystic spells.
Yeah.
Than we can come up with wizard and sorcerer spells all day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, all right, wizard, but a hippie.
Yeah. I mean, we're coming up with
sorcerer, but an ego terrorist.
Yeah. I mean, we're coming up with all of it from scratch. So,
straight out our butts.
So we can look at things like our world design can say that if you want to interact with nature or the physical nature, that's not really what wizards and sorcerers do. They don't necessarily manipulate nature.
Yeah, it could be like, the elementalist does the stuff that like dragons breathe, and dragons don't breathe stone, they breathe acid or lava or whatever.
Yeah, they can interact with the elements that are a part of their bloodline. They don't breathe vines. I guess I will put as a header tier 2 spells, and I don't know if darkness will end up being a cleric thing, but I feel like darkness might just be on both lists.
Yeah, I think so.
That doesn't really feel wrong for anybody. All of these feel like they're definitely wizard and sorcerer.
Yeah.
Are we going to have a list for each one that's a little different? Probably.
Yeah, we'll probably I just kind of want to come up with some for now to see if we can think of any patterns. Because what I want to do now is put up stuff I definitely want to have in the game, regardless of where they go.
Yeah.
And then we can start adding like schools of spells and who gets these spells and why they get them and where they come from and whether we call them all spells or not.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Right now we have clerics
have prayers and
orisons. Yeah, that aren't. Which I like that. We will potentially rephrase having one of those be something else and just put spells on the list because it's simpler that way.
We'll see how it ends up shaking out. But
yeah,
I'm just trying to think of stuff I definitely want in the game that needs to be in there.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. Okay, so do we want to have access to any kind of animate dead thing at tier 2?
Yeah, like an animated temporary zombie. Like until the end of combat, make a creature come back as a tier 1 zombie of that species.
Okay. Will we have this be a like, does it need to be a recently deceased, i.e. it needs to be something that died in this combat?
I think it just needs to have like a whole body there. Like if the necromancer wants to haul around his sack of corpses and then throw one out and animate it, I think that's perfectly fine.
Okay.
And then the next tier of the spell at tier 3, it makes a tier 2 zombie of that species. Tier 4, it makes a tier 3 zombie of that species.
Zombie or skeleton? Are we going to make such a distinction? Are we going to have archers, undead archers do we even want to worry about? I don't know. I mean, I don't mind the skeletal. That's a theme that some people are going to want instead of zombie. They're going to want skeletons.
I think that's more of a ritual.
I think we should wait on it anyway because I think we're going to have to make sure that we balance. People are going to want that.
Yeah.
But we're also going to have to
just call it raise undead and make a tier 1 undead of that creature.
Yeah, we're going to have to.
And then we can split that up later if we need to.
Yeah. We're going to have to play around with how strong ranged attacks are and then know. But the fact that this only lasts until end of combat in and of itself makes however it works, this won't be broken. Okay. It's going to, the game will be once we want
it's because also we're going to have like rituals and stuff to raise undead. So if you want like real undead, that's how you get them. But if you need a quick and dirty fix as a meat shield, this spell's your boy.
Yeah.
So that's sort of why I'm thinking zombie, because I feel like zombies are inherently easier to raise than skeletons are because they don't have to be held together with magic.
Yeah. Okay. I like that argument. So this makes a zombie, which means you have to have a corpse that has flesh. I guess you can't just throw a suitable
corpse.
Yeah, you can't throw a pile of bones out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is unless things get real gross, you're pretty much you're raising things that have died in combat normally. Otherwise, you're that weird guy in the party always hauling around.
Army of force servants, bring me my chest freezer of bodies.
Yeah, that's rough.
Yes, wizard adventurer doing his best to do as little adventuring as possible.
Yeah, I think when you make permanent undead, that's where we might actually be doing the same thing where you have to have a crystal. It's not consumed, but each corpse is going to require a focus of some kind.
Yeah.
And that'll be a good way for us to be like, okay, so you can do these rituals to make these things, but you are having a limiter and it's the economy.
Yeah.
If you want permanent undead that are raised, you have an economic limit.
Yeah, it's the gold matters in this system.
Which I think is a really cool way to just be like, yeah, there's nothing that says you can't have an undead army of whatever size you want. It's just going to cost you.
Yeah. Necromancers are reviled because they know if they get too much money, they become too powerful.
Yeah.
The only safe necromancer is a poor necromancer.
Okay, animate dead or raise dead is raise a tier 1 zombie until end of combat of the same species as the corpse used.
Yeah.
Perfect. We'll figure out what a tier 1 zombie is later. But so permanent, and that won't require concentration, I don't think.
No, it's just there.
It's just there. You've just imbued it with enough magic that it will flounder around.
You stuffed it full of so much necromantic mana that it'll get up and flop around for dead fish for 10, 15 rounds or so and then fall over again.
Yeah, basically.
It's not great, but it'll work.
Yeah, it's a body. I like that.
It has hit points that aren't yours.
Yeah. So at tier 2, will maybe even, you can't really make permanent undead at tier 2. Tier 3 is where you can start making permanent undead.
Yeah, that's where your army comes online.
Yeah,
because like the necromancer will have like undead attendants in his class features and stuff.
Sure, like little,
like he'll get some just for being a necromancer.
Yeah, I like that. I like the idea of necromancer. Necromancer just gets a skeleton buddy.
Yeah, he just gets a guy that follows him around, being his old bone butler.
Yeah, he can have some skellies that are basic and do stuff for him.
Yeah.
But to actually build an army,
he needs to be tier 3.
Yeah, because no ritual spells until tier 3. That's where the beginning of them come online, and it's going to cost money to make permanent.
You won't have until the very, very end of tier 2.
Yeah, the money you won't have. I mean, I imagine that the kind of money I want it to cost will be highly limiting until you're have had quite a few successful missions.
Yeah, you need.
Otherwise, you're just like, hey, party, do you guys mind not having any money?
Yeah,
and I just buy a bunch of gemstones that I can put in corpses.
That's what if we don't actually put ourselves in danger?
Yeah. I mean, some people might sign up for it. Hey, baby, got to spend money to make money.
Yep. The undeath economy.
Yeah. Alrighty. So, animate dead. What else?
Also, that explains why there's probably not like a shitload of zombies on farms somewhere, is because the guy who can do that is already rich.
There aren't what?
Well, like a zombie is a pretty good like permanent tool to go do farming before the Industrial Revolution comes around.
Oh, sure.
And modernizes it when it's just a bunch of people doing backbreaking labor all day. If the only guy who can raise that many zombies is already a quadrillionaire, why does he need to do some farming for gold coins?
Yeah. It's the return is tough. Well, I can just picture like riots in the streets.
Yeah.
Because farmers are protesting that people are buying zombies.
They took our jobs.
They're buying permanent zombies.
Definitely a campaign we're going to write.
Yep. Find that in the Patreon when it exists. All right. Next one.
Need a regular illusion spell.
Yeah, we need illusion spells. We probably still need. I mean, we have the 3 types of damage covered technically.
Yeah.
Target, or multi-target, single target, adjacent, and target. I think we do need to come up with some more damage variety, probably. Yeah, but it may not. That's not really a priority.
I mean, but like, they're all going to be some kind of variation on those 3 spells.
Yeah, agreed. I think we can worry about the variants later.
Yeah,
and we might have a thing that like shows how those variants might expand differently.
Yeah,
like if you choose a different type of target and adjacent instead of fireball.
Yeah,
it's going to gain an effect at the next tier where fireball is just going to get more damage.
More fireball, yeah.
It's going to be more fireball.
Yeah, do you want more extra stuff or more fireball?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think all fireball does is do increasingly large amounts of damage as it goes up in tier.
Yeah, absolutely.
Until it's just like a step below war magic at tier 4.
Yeah, it just does more damage. That's what it does.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. I was talking to Clayton, the other Clayton.
Yeah.
And I was like, we're actually talking about commoner feats. And I know this is a horrible digression from spells, and we'll keep on spells. But so we have this idea for commoner feats that allows you to like flesh out the idea of a commoner.
Yeah.
Grow them a little bit. So you can take a meaningless NPC and turn it into something that matters in the game.
Yeah.
I was thinking about it, and I was like, I want the characters to be cool and powerful in this game, but I see the distance from commoner to tier 4 character is a lot closer in our game than commoner to level 20 character in like D&D. Like the gap between who they are in the world is smaller.
Yeah.
Because like when you think of like a level 7 character, that thing's like superhuman. like a straight up
literal Captain America before level 10.
Yeah, like out of the comic books it makes commoners are like they're straight up superheroes compared to how
they beat up
weak.
commoners like Batman.
Yeah. Worse than Batman. Shit, you get Batman at like level 5.
He gets that extra attack and he's God.
Yeah. But you get to level 10, level 8, 9, 10. You have something that is so far beyond in relative scale.
Yeah, can literally get shot in the face with a cannon.
Yeah. You're talking something that's like at least 10 times tougher than the average man. Like, it's just ridiculous. And then you look at a level 20 character and you're like, this is like beyond mythos.
Yeah. Like, it's a very good example of a level 20 character is Gandalf from Lord of the Rings, because that man is a level 20 fighter with magic staff.
Yeah.
Like, I'm here to kick ass, shoot off fireworks, and pretend to do magic.
Yeah. He may not even be a level 20 fighter in compared to a commoner.
Well, his greatest feat is soaking the damage from that max fall.
Yeah. Yeah.
It did 20 d6 damage, and he totally just soaked that shit with hit points after fighting a Baelor.
Yeah, so maybe he's a decent level. But my point is that the you get to a normal level 20 character in D&D, and you're at like, I mean, you're straight up at like the difference between a person and the like some of the most powerful entities in any mythos.
Yeah, you're looking at like the thing that Gilgamesh goes to get immortality from.
Yeah. You are basically Superman.
Yeah. You are nearly invulnerable to harm.
Yeah.
And that's if you're not a wizard.
Yeah. Basically. Level 20 barbarian will beat up a tank.
Yeah, they're literally the Hulk.
Yeah. And it's I like a lot of power in our game, but I think it's cool in making the cool things that they can do.
Yeah.
While keeping, which is part of why we have HP numbers a lot. Like keeping how tough they are in a narrower perspective. Like you're tougher than a commoner by a lot, but you're not all like the Hulk or Superman, where it's like, oh my gosh, how much damage does this thing take? You know, why?
Like, we shot him with an entire wall full of cannons, and he still says anything more than none means I'm ready for action, baby.
Yeah, when you have a barbarian who's got like end game, you know, maybe 300 HP, 200 and something HP, and he's raging, so it's double that. It's a bear totem barbarian. And so he has like an effective almost 600 HP.
Yeah. Or you're 3/5 barbarian with actually 600 HP.
Yeah. Again, compared to a commoner who has like 8 or 5 or whatever, or 7, you know, and this thing has a 600.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know why they wanted that digression, other than there is a huge power gap between all of these things, but
I have been thinking about commoner feats a lot, though.
I love the whole commoner feat thing, and I love the idea of like you become powerful in so many other ways in our game because we want to flesh out so many systems that could bring you power.
Yeah, commoners are not that broadly competent, but if we just leave them at tier 0, they're kind of helpless.
Yeah.
So like the blacksmith is pretty good. He can't fight for shit, and he's really not good at anything but being a blacksmith, but he kind of needs to be pretty good at being a blacksmith, and a tier 0 character is bad at everything.
Yeah.
So like if you're a blacksmith and you take the commoner blacksmith feat, you get like tier 2 proficiency, or you're treated as being tier 2 for all things related to blacksmithing.
Yeah. And something like a militia feat might just be like, oh, you can make an attack with your quick action.
Yeah. Well, you get proficiency in tier 2 armor and weapons, and you get a quick action attack.
You know, something like that. That might be so you have somebody who's still weaker than a fighter.
Yeah.
He's still weaker than a tier 1 character, but he got some of the elements of, I can do some combat.
Yeah. Like, I don't suck. I'm not totally helpless against a goblin.
Yeah.
I don't have to fear for my life against the house cat invasion.
Yeah, like a commoner with the militia commoner feat should have like nearly, like he should be pretty equal to a goblin.
Yeah.
Which a normal commoner is just going to die to a goblin.
Yeah, its goblins are hideously dangerous to dirt farming peasants.
But if you join the militia and got some training, then you might be all right. And I like the idea of that's what this does, is make commoners have the potential to become a little bit more than just a commoner.
Yeah.
But like I say, having power come from so many sources means we get to play with some systems where most of something like D&D is all about just what your character can do. Like the leveling system, there's a whole bunch you can do to strengthen your character outside of the leveling system.
Yeah.
But everything about growing in level is just making the entity that is you have more HP and do more damage.
Yep.
And
that's more stats, more damage, more health. That's all you're after.
That's what's happening. That's the whole thing. I have higher AC, more HP, do more damage. And those are the only real things you're changing as you level.
Yeah.
And I like the idea of saying, okay, well, you get a little bit more HP and you maybe get a little bit more resistance and you do a little bit more damage, but that's not really the power.
Yeah, no, that happens in your tier.
Yeah.
But crossing the tiers is where you really take these big leaps in power, and then you spend the rest of your time in that tier getting used to it.
Yeah. But what I mean even is that, like, as you go from one tier to another, all of those things, the damage you do and the health you have, and they don't change that drastically.
No.
They increase. You were tier 2 and now you're tier 3.
And only go up by like 8-10 points.
It's not a whole lot that you've gotten stronger in all of the statistical capacities.
But you've gotten broader.
But you've gotten broader in that you've interacted with new systems. You've taken on a boon class that's given you new unique abilities. You signed a pact with somebody and now you have whatever. Or you have gained a following and so now you have soldiers.
Yeah.
Or
you're the leader of a small mercenary company.
Yeah. Any number of things that we want to be baked into the system so that you're getting power that feels immersive.
Yeah. You can literally be whatever kind of adventurers you want, not 5 dudes who delve dungeons and fuck bitches.
Yeah. Like you see a guy who's like, oh, there's a really cool Knight of the Realm NPC.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you're going to be that guy who's like a knight. It will be more immersive when players and creatures are playing with the same rule set.
Yeah.
And you get to broaden your horizons through integrating your player in the world more so than just, I got bigger numbers.
Yeah.
And I'm running around in a world that at the end of it, I'm Superman and the world's made of paper.
Yeah. It's you don't have a paladin, a fighter, and a cleric who broadly go into a fight, face tank damage, deal enough damage till everybody's dead. Other cleric goes and fixes them after the fight is over. You all play basically the same.
Yeah. You did your damage a little different.
And if you want to do that in our game, you can.
Yeah.
But if you want to have the wandering lone swordsman who makes friends with a horde-bearing necromancer... and then they find the dragon wizard who likes trees.
Yeah, I really like the idea of a game that is designed to, you want to gain power, you gain power in world.
Yeah.
You gain power from not just stats in your book as your character levels.
Yeah. You get power from being a hero, from going out and doing crazy shit and getting rewards for that.
Yeah, or being a villain.
Kill stuff, get XP, go up. Try and out-level everybody else who's stronger than me.
Yeah, no, I mean, you can be a villain too, but a villain in the sense that you do some kind of scheming.
You still have to do protagonist stuff, though, even if you're a bad guy.
Yeah, even if you're a bad guy, you're going to have to do protagonist stuff. But I mean, if you're gaining power, you're gaining it through scheming and interacting with the DM and doing stuff. You're not gaining it just by being like, I'm just going to kill things and take their stuff. And when I get to the next level,
I'll be better at that and I'll kill stronger things and take their better stuff.
Yeah, I don't want this to feel like an MMO grind.
Yeah, or that one episode of Adventure Time.
Yeah. Yeah, MMO grind is the last thing I want it to feel like.
All right, if we kill 16 million level 1 boars.
Yeah. Anyway. Wild digression, but I don't know. I like to think about that because it's a mind frame that I like to make sure I'm maintaining whenever I'm thinking of, well, what are we going to do in the game?
How does this spell thing interact with literally everything else we do?
Yeah.
And that is how 2 people can make this game.
Yeah. We both know, okay, what is the end goal here? And how do we create things that help bring about this end goal?
How would I break it?
Yeah. And then there's that part too. which I'm always thinking, because you always have cool ideas. And you're like, what about this? And I'm like, oh, but what if you do this with it?
Oh, damn. That would be good. Ooh, good.
Yeah. I think you would always break things, but you have the cool idea before you've thought about how to break it.
If I saw it in a book, I would realize what was wrong with it, but it came from my brain, so I'm handicapped.
Yeah. All right. So we got Animate Dead.
Cool.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah.
Let's get one more down, and then we'll probably wrap it up for this one.
Yeah. We got illusion spell.
Just laser beam.
Laser beam. All right. We need
fog is because fog's going to be conjuration,
Fog's
right?
Conjuration. Yeah.
Yeah.
Darkness might be illusion.
Yeah, darkness might be illusion.
I was just thinking, like, put on a play, create a fake room, kind of.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I don't mind something like that.
Yeah, it's like illusory wall or something. You can create a wall to look like whatever you want. Like if you put it in front of a doorway, it would look like whatever you wanted to look on the other side of that doorway. But if you walked through it, it's pretty obvious it's not there.
Yeah, I'm just going to put one down. I will figure out how we want to cost it out. But small illusion, and it will be covers one square essentially. Yeah, basically whatever you want it to look like in a 5-foot square.
Yeah.
Okay, so with create a small illusion filling up to a 5-foot square, I think we put maintenance on that.
Yes,
and
definitely.
I say it. It will probably require some kind of. Then the way it doesn't have to. You can just do it at will.
Yeah,
pretty much, because it probably won't have a cost.
Yeah,
except for it's going to require maintenance.
Yes.
And we'll probably have maintenance, and you must be within X distance.
Yeah.
And then it's something you can use pretty freely, but you can't without other avenues that will occur later.
Yeah, it'll just be
permanent illusion.
Yeah, it'll probably just be like 1 mana cost.
Well, what I mean is you could, I guess, do it in combat, but I'm thinking of it being something that you might do in many cases out of combat.
Oh, yeah.
Because you might want to make a small illusion out of combat. You might want to make an illusion in.
All right, we may do something to where if a spell only costs 1 mana, you can do it out of combat. I don't know. We'll come up with something. I don't know.
We'll have to come with
Yeah.
We'll do maintenance and cost. If it has maintenance, though, that immediately makes it not something that you can. That is just going to be permanent.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're not going to maintain maintenance on a small illusion as you continue to adventure throughout the day.
Yeah, no, it's all right. I'm in this dungeon, but I gotta make sure nobody sees my room is messy.
Yeah. Okay, so what I'm going to do just right now, and this won't be what we end up phrasing it, but create an illusion filling up to a 5-foot square. Maintenance must be within 30 feet.
Cool.
And we can make some alterations to that for either combat or out of combat uses. Anyway, we'll catch you guys next time.
Cool. We talked about spells. Like we said, I hope you're happy.